Okay, we're doing this again. I messed it up. So, welcome to my house. This is what it looks like from the outside. This is the house of Casa de M. Pilius Primigenius Granianus. I don't know. I'm not that good at Latin. Anyways, here's my house. Yay! It was a lot of work. I wasted a lot of time on it. But, we're here now. Alright, so here's the inside. So first we go in. Here's our mailbox, which, you might not need in Rome, but you definitely need in The Sims. Hold on. Their talking is annoying. Audio. They're done. Okay. We're back at it. Alright, so let me put up the walls. So when you enter, you can see here's the window right there. Here. And then there's the other window, and then that window leads into the triclinium. I really like the triclinium. I think it turned out really freaking cool. So while these walls probably would have all been frescoed, it was just a lot in The Sims. I think it's really interesting how you can, like in The Sims, you can tell, all right, so that's what it looks like outside. And you can see it through these windows. It gives you a really interesting perspective and point of view on what it really would have been like to be in the house. I think the lighting also gives a really good perspective because when I first built this room, these frescoes on the wall were really, really awful in the normal Sims light. But then when I got rid of the regular lights and I put down all these oil lamps and the brazier, then it became a lot more I don't even know, a lot softer, I guess. It stopped being quite so garish and became more beautiful in a way, which I think is something you wouldn't really get unless you're kind of observing it in that natural light. Down here we have a mosaic. I don't know, maybe they're getting drunk. Who knows? Some triclinium couches. Cline? I don't know. So then once you're out of there, you can see outside. It's starting to get dark. It's their bedtime. Ooh, the stars. Okay, focus. So then we come over here. I put some storage in the main entryway because I read somewhere that they did have storage. I put a marble bust because I was like, good to have some decoration. Over here is where room N was, but not on Herculaneum in pictures or anywhere else that I could find did it even say what N was. So I made the executive decision to just get rid of it because I couldn't. Figure out what it was, so I just got rid of it. Okay, in here, this is room B, which is one of the cubiculums, which it was later transformed into a service room. So I decided to maintain that and keep this as a service room for the creative part. They have some dressers and beds, and it's a little cramped in here, and it's pretty simple, but I feel like it works for what it's meant to be. I put these little shelves all over the whole house with oil lamps on top of them, just as, trying to light it as close to what it would have been lit like as possible. Down here is the cool little touch of the flooring because it's similar to what was actually in the house itself, which I thought was fun. And then, yeah, some little pegs for them to hang their hooks, and everything in here is just very simple and tidy. Oh, right. Why is she on her phone? Okay, never mind. Okay, in here, this is room C, which is the etc. So another dining place. I read somewhere that they kept busts of their ancestors in here. These were some custom content that I downloaded. I think they're actually Roman, or they're based on actual Roman ones. I think they're kind of cool looking though. He's a little scary. She's cool though. Here's a cabinet, and then I thought these couches fit like the kind of fancy vibe of this room. Another brazier. I really like the mosaic in here. I think it's very cool looking. Some scrolls. This is what I was talking about, the like Roman equivalent to a bar cart. It's kind of just like some, I don't know, citrus and stuff. And then like, it's basically just citrus and some cups and pitchers. While candles, I know that candles were considered more expensive. I really needed something to put in that corner, so a candle it was. I made an executive decision. So this is a Cretan mask. I know that, but I need something to put on the wall. Some of this is just me taking creative liberties. This one is I don't know. I do think it turned out kind of cute, even though it's kind of plain. So this is room D, which is the other cubiculum, which I decided to make the baby Aurora's room. Which, first of all, my sim baby is so cute. Oh my god. Okay. Great. Okay, so here's her room. I put a toy box because I did learn that Roman houses had a lot of storage, so I was thinking that, it would make sense if they had some sort of storage for the toys. Here is the chair, because I was thinking if you're nursing, it would make sense that you would want somewhere to sit. Blocks, a changing table, which I don't know if that's accurate, but, it's needed in The Sims, so it ended up there. There is a fresco of a mother and a child, which I thought was really fitting for this room. Here is the little cradle, which really does remind me of the actual cradle that was found in Herculaneum. And actually, when I placed it down, it made me kind of sad. And, I almost cried because I was just thinking, this really was, this was a real baby. And these were real people. And they were killed horrifically. And it's, interacting with it, even in a digital sort of medium, really does make me think about it in a new way. And really makes you cognizant of that they were people and that they're not just statistics in a book. Here's a doll, because I know Roman girls had dolls. I know she's not accurate, but sometimes you gotta work with what you got for The Sims. This is also not accurate, but I really needed something to put her on. I thought this was cute. It made me think of Odysseus, maybe. Oh my god, they put all her toys away. I'm gonna kill them. Okay, so they put all her toys away. She had all these cute little animal toys out. Open. Okay, I'll pull them out so I can show what I had. So there's a little bird figurine, because I did learn that lots of toys were based off of animals. There's this little, I don't know, dog, bear, something. There is this little sheep. I thought he was cute. And then this little lion. I thought maybe someone brought it back for her. And then a little rattle, because I did learn that there were plenty of rattles for Sims. No, not Sims. For the Romans. That the Romans would play with their children with. Alright. Okay. These Sims are incapable of taking care of themselves, so I have to do it myself. Really? She's so whiny. Okay. In here, we have the... What room is this? Oh, the Oikos, room E. Yeah. So I thought that I had read somewhere that they displayed their fine dishes and stuff in here, so I displayed that. And then I also put some scrolls, just, in case they wanted to read. There's some chairs, another table for dining, because all of these are dining rooms. Ignore that wall. I didn't mean to paint. I meant to paint it. It got missed. Here's some grapes and another tray, couch, chair. I really like these frescoes. I don't know how, I don't think they're terribly accurate, but it's what I got. A lot of this is making do with what I have. Okay, down there is the kitchen, and over here is one of my favorite corners. So I was imagining that maybe her dad, Aurelia's dad, was some sort of soldier and maybe he got injured and that's why he's not a soldier anymore. In my storyline, he was a fuller, or he becomes a fuller, and I was kind of thinking, like, his wife is weaving and he's a fuller, so it'd be interesting if, like, they got this textile marriage going on. Over here is a shield and swords. Again, I don't think they're super accurate, but it is what it is. Okay, in here we have some little perfume bottles or other bottles. As we learned, they might not be perfume. Some coins and then some finished like cloth and clothes. Hold on. Yeah. And then this is probably my favorite thing in the whole freaking house. A loom. I love it. So there's what's her name? It functions as a computer, that's why she's doing that. Her name is Julia. That's what her name is. But she's using it. Here is a sort of cabinet where they're keeping like wool, threads, things to weave with, the cloth that has been made. Oh my god, my baby's upset. See, you can't do this with real babies. You can't just make them happy. Okay. So, up next is the... Oh, she's upset because her husband is blocking her side of the bed. Is the bedroom. This was like the main cubiculum. At least I assumed so based on the size of it. I put a bearskin on the floor because I thought it was kind of fun. She's gonna sleep on the bench because oh, that sucks. Okay, so bearskin on the floor, a wardrobe over here, and actually, while they're all asleep, I'm gonna pause the game so that they stay out of my way. There's some pegs over here so they can hang up some clothes. This is probably one of my favorite corners, just because I think it's really, really cool. So I hung up a little mirror, and then, although I know that is probably, it looks like Grecian art, I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure that's Grecian. I still added it anyways because you gotta work with what you got. Like, that's kind of the theme of this house, is pretending things are Roman, even if they're technically not. So I had a little pyxis, pyxis? I don't know how to say it, but I know that's what it is. A mortar and pestle because maybe she's grinding some stuff up, and then some homemade cosmetic sorts of things, and then like maybe some potions or something, or just like serums. Here is some more money by the bed. They probably would have the money locked up, but like I wanted it for decoration. Some trunks, a little bench, a cool fresco, and then some wood for the brazier. I really like the flooring in here too. I think it looks nice. Next room. I added some baskets to the wall because I needed stuff for the walls. So this is actually an arch in real life, but while I was building this, I looked really hard for the single arch. Couldn't find it. As I was giving you this tour, I realized there's one over here. I could have copied it, but it is what it is at this point. I'm just saying that I recognize that's not totally accurate. Okay, so now we're into the kitchen. Apparently someone left something on the stove and it's beginning to smell bad. I think it's really interesting that this house has a kitchen because we did learn that they weren't super common in Pompeii and Herculaneum houses. Is that what they are? Anyways, I put some little spices, some crockery, like, utensils, a little pot. Here's a sink. While they didn't have running water, they did have a wash basin in this house. And then over here that's a baby bottle, which I think is really cool, or it's supposed to be a baby bottle because they did look like that. And then there's a basket of bread, lots of bread, figs, mushrooms, leeks. I tried to look up what kinds of foods they had, and I tried to put that everywhere. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm really freaking proud of this. It was a lot of freaking work. I had to, like, individually build each part. That's why it's a little glitchy. But I think it looks really cool, the Lararium. Um, and like, oh, I think it turned out really well. I'm really proud of it. I put it in the kitchen because there were a lot found in kitchens. Okay, in here we have a storage area. More oil lamps. Here are some amphorae. I think it's really cool that I found some custom content of these. Adds to the vibes. Some more pots, some buckets, rope, like just random things. Wood, barrels. Okay, there are shelves there. Yep, there they are. Baskets, cloth, like just random things, whatever I could think of, I kind of shoved it in here. I wanted to put more in, but honestly, I was having trouble. So just imagine these walls or these shelves are filled with stuff. So then if we go over here, I should have been doing this the whole freaking time. That's such a better way to do this. Okay, this one is kind of cramped, so we're going to try to go like this. So over here is another storage area. I put some herbs on the wall because I was thinking maybe she makes like healing stuff at home. That's because I'm really into healers right now on The Sims. She ended up being a weaver, but that's what I was thinking. I added some more herbs over here. Let's see if I can get closer to these ones. We're gonna see. Okay, I can. So here's some more herbs and stuff over here. A little table where whoever is making them can make them. Some little bottles. They could even be making like things for rituals. In here is the toilet. It's a modern toilet. These are the cool little paintings or the frescoes. They're hidden in here because they don't look supernatural, but like supernatural in the house. So but I wanted them because I thought they were fun. Here's some more buckets and baskets and jars and like just random things. Some more pots and baskets hanging off the walls. Over here are some mini amphorae. Here's some glass jars, bowls, like loose beans, rice. That actually might not be rice. That might be flour. I'm not sure what that is. Other just things. What are these? I think this is garlic or no, not potatoes, garlic because they didn't have potatoes. Some mushrooms, garlic, figs, cucumbers. I think that was meant to be lettuce in my head. Cheese, bread, and I tried to find circular bread because I know that that's what was carbonized. Some spices, another mortar and pestle, more cheese, citrus, carrots, lettuce. I just tried to think of like random things just to show that they had a lot of storage things. Okay, and then that is basically the whole house. Over here would have been the parts of the Casa della Gemma. And so I did build that at one point, and then my game crashed. So that no longer exists, but I did try. So yeah, that's basically the whole house. Let me, if I change, I can change it so that it's daytime. Okay, so this is actually something that I do think is like kind of a positive of something like this. You can see like how the lighting would change. Here, if I go into build mode, it actually is even more apparent because I can change the appearance of things. So like here's how the lighting inside the house would look during like the evening. And at night, it's so much brighter, and this room itself gets darker because it's not getting sunlight anymore. But like these rooms stay roughly the same because they don't have any windows. But like here, there we can see it's getting brighter again. It's kind of bright. Like I do think this is kind of one positive because you can really imagine You can really imagine how it was like what it was like to live there. I really do. I think this is a positive, and it could be an interesting like exploration for it. Um, yeah. Oh my gosh, I don't care. Here. Um, yeah. All right. So, one last thing that I wanted to show, I really don't care, was my family itself. So, I worked pretty hard on them. And I just wanted to explain their various things, like who they are. Oh my gosh, that's what he sleeps in? That's disturbing. Okay, so this is the husband, Quintus. His name is Quintus Marius Tacitus, and I picked that last name, or that cognomen, because it meant like silent or mute, and really, I didn't care about him that much. I never care about the male Sims. So he kind of ends up silent anyways, because I don't care. This is his wife, Julia Marius Agrippa. She has this outfit, which I think is really, really cool. I put a lot of jewelry on her because I know that Roman women were very into jewelry, and it was one of the few things that they owned, like it was theirs, and that they were free to trade and sell at will. Her eyes were a different color, but it's fine. Here's their daughter, Aurelia. I think she turned out really cute. Yeah, she doesn't do much because she's a baby. Of course, this is what I meant to say. He is a fuller and she is a weaver. And her name is actually based on some graffiti that was found in the house. Luciana is one of their slaves. I made her a teenager. I don't know if that was the right call, but that's what I did. And then Clementia is apparently wearing something really dumb to sleep in. So this is her outfit. And yeah, I tried to make their outfits slightly more simple, and hers more complicated. From the research that I did for making my own costume, this is pretty accurate to what Roman women would have worn. So I feel pretty happy about it. I think she looks like a respectable Roman lady. But yeah, that is my house that I spent a lot of time on. I randomly remembered something that I would like to show. Sorry you have to sit through this whole video, because, like, you're probably not super interested in watching me give a little house tour. I was going to try to play, like, a challenge where they lived through a day in the life, but honestly, I had no idea how I would film that, and then I couldn't figure it out. So this is what we ended up with. Is just a little house tour. But I don't hate it. So I put the loom over by the window because I read in some book, and I do know because I have a small loom, that weaving needs light, and it needs a decent amount of light. So I put it by one of the few windows in the house because of that necessity for light. Yeah. I think that's all I really had to say. Yeah. So that's the family. That's the house. I hope you like it. Yeah. All right then.